Hi everyone. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to make a game feature and how to enable it in a Lyra experience. So this game feature in specific is a currency gameplay feature, and as you can see, it adds a widget at the top left, and you can pick up currency in the level. So this gameplay feature you can add to any experience, any map. So let's dive into detail. So the first thing you want to do is create your game feature plugin. So go navigate to Edit, Plugins, click on Add, then select Game Feature, Content Only. For this tutorial, I'll just do a content only game feature, but if you want to have some code, it would be the game feature with C++. It is also possible to add code to a plugin that wasn't with C++, but for now we'll just choose the content only. So I'll call this one currency, author Nance, description currency, managing UI and objects. Then create plugin. So this will open this data asset. This is essentially your game feature, and it's automatically active when you open it for the first time. So to modify it, you have to change it to loaded. The first thing our plugin is going to do is to add some UI to our HUD. So let's choose the action add element, and then it's add widgets. So the layout, we're gonna want to use the shooter HUD layout. To do so, we need access to the plugin ShooterCore. So we need to edit our plugin so that it depends on ShooterCore. So let's choose ShooterCore. Okay, save. And then your HUD is going to show up here. So shooter HUD layout. And then the layer we want it on is game. We chose this layer so that it will show on the game layer in our common UI. So now let's create a widget. Okay, so let's minimize this for now, minimize the plugins, save this currency. So we are going to create our widget inside the plugin content of currency plugin. So right click, new blueprint class, and then we'll choose common user widget. So this one I'll call widget currency. So this is the widget that will show up on our HUD. So let's make a very basic widget to just show how much currency we have. So I will add a border at the top. So this border, and then a horizontal box. And then just some text and an image. So I will use the common text, so then I can use the settings from common styles. So I will add also an image. Okay, so this common text block, I'll just put in a 0 for now. And then the image, I'll just choose the cube image. Okay, and then draw as a box. For the border, I'll just put an alpha none for now. So I'll just say brush tint alpha 0. Okay, and then compile, save. So this is our widget. Now we need to add it to our HUD. So where we're gonna go is go under currency. And then for the widget to add, let's add the widget we just added. So currency. And then for the slot ID, this is very, very cool because the HUD, what it uses is slot IDs, and it uses gameplay tags. So you don't, the currency widget doesn't need to know anything about the shooter HUD layout. So let's let's open the shooter HUD layout and add a slot for the currency. Okay, so here you can see all the current slot ID. It's nice because when you add an extension point for the HUD, it actually shows which slot tag it is. So let's add a slot. Let's put it to the top left because there's nothing at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll just duplicate the extension point text stats. I'll call this one currency. And let's anchor this one to the top left. And then let's add, let's say 20 padding. Let's compile. And then this one doesn't have the right slot at the moment, so let's just add an extension point tag. So under HUD slot, let's add one that's called currency. And then compile, save. And then when I go back to my currency game feature data, let's choose that slot. And now when we play, it should add it to the HUD. So HUD slot currency when the plugin is active. So let's set it to active for now, just to see if it works. So let's play. Let's open up level expense. You might not see anything yet. So what you need to do is you need to select all the cells and load selected cells. All right, so that might take a while. So after it's loaded, let's just play at the default player start. Let's play this level. All right, so you can see at the top left, it might be a little bit small, but you can see the widget that I added. So this comes from my plugin and is currently will be applied to every single experience you play. So for now, let's just restrict it to the expense mode. So let's stop this, and under the world setting, let's find the experience. So in the shooter game elimination, let's open it up. And then under the game features to enable, you can add our currency game feature. So this will make sure that when you play this experience, this plugin will load in. So now we can actually set our currency to just loaded. So what this means is when you play Lyra, if you play any other experience, the currency widget won't show up. But when you play elimination, it will show up. Next, let's create an actor which will spawn in the currency. So for that, to be able to be placed in the map, it can't be in your plugin. So let's navigate to the ShooterCore content, blueprint, and let's create a new actor. So let's just do an actor, and this one I'll call B currency spawner. So this actor will only exist just to spawn the currency. It will need to receive the gameplay feature, and it will need to register itself to the gameplay system. So this will contain very little logic. So let's go to the event graph. So on begin play, we will register to the game framework component manager. So that is the manager that will add gameplay components from plugins. So game framework component manager, add receiver. And then when you end play, let's remove this receiver. So let's end play, remove receiver. Okay, so now we have a location we can spawn our currency. Now we need to actually create the actor that, or the component that will spawn the actor to be spawned. So first, let's create the currency that will be spawned. So I will minimize this. Let's navigate to plugins, currency, and then let's create a new blueprint. We'll call this one just be an actor, be currency. So my currency will just be simple yellow cube. So add a static mesh component. Oh, static mesh. And then this one I will just set to your standard cube. Let's make this one smaller because it's very big. Oops. Okay, and then I will just add a new material just to have a yellow color. So material, currency. Then this one, here's a trick for colors. You just press 4 on your keyboard, and then you just left click, and then it will create a vector 4D. So this one I will choose a yellow color and hook it into base color. Okay, then I just need to assign it over here, and here's our currency. I'll put it a bit above the grid or else it would spawn in the floor. Okay, and then just for fun, let's add a rotation. So rotating movement. So what this will do, it will just rotate the object at this rotation rate. Okay, so now we have an actor to spawn, but now we need to add a component to the currency spawner that's now placed in the world so that it spawns this actor. So that's what I'll do. So create a new blueprint class. This time it'll be an actor component. I'll call this one currency spawner component. And all this one will do is on begin play, it will spawn this actor. So let's go ahead and open that. So on begin play, I will get the owner, which will be the currency spawner. So I'll get the owner's location or transform. Get transform. And I will spawn actor from class. So this one, it will be the actor b underscore currency. Okay, and okay, so that's all this component will do. So now all we need to do is to tell our plugin to add this component to these spawners. So that's what we'll do. Let's go under currency, game feature data, and then let's add another action. So let's click this and then add components, and let's add to the spawner. So this is the currency spawner. So let's add it the spawner component. So currency spawner component. And if you're doing a multiplayer game, this actually does matter. So let's add this one only on the server. Sweet. Okay, so let's save this. And then now when we play, these should actually spawn our currency. So I'll just put a bunch of them. Save. And then I will play from the current camera location so I don't get spawned randomly. So let's play. There you have it. So now you have currency that's spawned in from your plugin. Next step, we need to add a component on the player state, something that keeps track of the currency. So let's do just that. Let's add a component to the player state. And this one, let's call it currency manager component. So let's add a new blueprint class. This time it'll be a player state component. This one doesn't offer that much functionality in Blueprint, but it does have some nice getters in C++. But it's still a good use to have it be a player state component. So this one I'll just call currency manager component. This one will be added to the player state, and let's add a variable for the currency amount. So we'll call it currency amount. Let's add a function for whenever you overlap on the currency. So function, let's call this one add currency, and it will take an actor as a input value. Oops, actor overlapped currency. So whenever this gets called, it would increment the currency amount. So increment. And then it should destroy the currency. Okay, and let's make our component actually call a delegate so that the widget can actually listen to it whenever this happens. So let's add an event dispatcher, and let's call this one on currency updated. And then this one, all we care about is the amount of currency. So we can add the input one int new currency amount. Okay, so when this happens, let's call this on add currency updated. Let's hook this in. Okay. So now let's update our currency to actually be only overlapping. And when the currency overlaps, it will call this function. So go ahead and open your blueprint for the currency, and let's change the static mesh's collision to be only overlap. So overlap all. Okay, let's compile. And then in the event graph, in the event actor begin overlap, let's see if this is a pawn. So let's cast to pawn. So if it's a pawn, let's get the player state. Oh, there's actually a helpful function in Lyra. Get player state from object. So what this function does is whether you get a controller or you give it a pawn, it will get the player state from it. So now let's search for the component. So get component by class. Then let's get our currency manager component, and let's call the function we just created, which is called add currency. And then the overlap currency is actually this actor. So get a reference to self. All right, so we haven't actually added this component to the player state yet, so let's go ahead and do that. So navigate to your currency data asset, and then under the components, let's add another component, and this one will be to the Lyra player state, and this one will be our currency manager. The same thing here, let's just have it be a server component. Okay, so now when your pawn will overlap with the currency, it will call this function on the manager component, and then it will destroy it. So the int should also change the amount of currency. So let's go ahead and try that just to see if you overlap if the object is being destroyed. So let us play. Okay, so when you play, it overlaps, it gets destroyed. But the UI isn't updated yet, so let's hook that up. So first of all, let's reorder our actions in our plugin. So let's make sure that the components get added before the widget get added. So let's just drag that up there. Okay. So then in our currency widget, let's add some logic. So on the event construct, we can get the owning player. Okay, and then you can get the player state from the object, and let's assign a custom event from our dispatcher. So get player state from object. Let's get the component currency manager. Oh, manager. Okay, and then let's assign on currency updated. So on construction, it will listen to the event on currency updated. And then here in your logic, you can actually update your amount, so the text. First, we have to make it be a variable. So under your common text, just make sure is variable is checked. And let's call this currency amount. Okay. So when this happens, we want to set the text. So set text to this new amount. And then let's compile, save. And now our text should update. So let's play. And it does. So it's the widget is a little bit small, so let's update that and let's make the cube be yellow. Okay, so let's jazz up our widget just a little bit. So the border, we can actually use something similar that the shooter game already uses. Yeah, so let's use the material instance UI team score backing. So let's find this brush. So MI UI team score backing 48 by 48. And let's draw this as a box with the margin 0.5. So those are pretty much the settings that they have for the actual like UI that goes at the top, the one with the team scores. Okay, and then let's add some padding. So let's say 5 for everywhere. Our currency amount, or our image, let's add a padding to the left. So 5. Okay, and then our image can actually be a bit bigger, and let's make it yellow. So to do that, you go under the tint and choose a nice yellow color. So, okay. And let's make our text bigger. We can actually use a presets because it's a common text. So let's use the text style huge. Our large one is in the prototype 1, so we don't want to have any dependency issues. So let's just choose huge. Okay, and then let's surround it with the size box just to make sure that it has a minimum width. So to do that, you can right click on the horizontal box and then wrap with size box. And then in your size box, let's make sure we have a minimum desired width of 50. Okay, let's save this. Let's see what this looks now. Oh, that's right, our border has 0 opacity. So let's go back and fix that up. So the tint, let's put it back to 1. Okay. Compile, save. And yeah, let's see what that looks like. Oh, so the image is a bit stretched, so we actually need a size box around our image. And let's add some padding to the text at the left because the text is so big now, so it doesn't look good. Okay, so let's pause, reopen our currency, and let's surround the image with a size box. So wrap with size box, and this one, let's make it 32 by 32. So the minimum desired width and height, 32 by 32. Okay, and also let's add a padding, a bigger padding to the left side. Oh, and have this one be centered. All right. And this one middle. Okay, so what you want to do is your horizontal box, or actually your text, let's add a big padding to the left. And that should look a little better. So now let's play. There you go, that looks a little bit better. Actually, let's make this image way bigger, so it goes with this size of the text. So 128 by 128 should look better. And then our size box would be minimum 128 by 128. Right. Let's play. Oh, I played in the floor. All right, so let's put our camera a bit further. I don't exactly remember where I placed them, so I'll just place some more currency. So let's find the currency spawner. And let's place some more over here. All right. And let's play. Yeah, sweet. So that looks way better. So now when you walk in, it updates, you get your currency. This will only be because the plugin isn't active. It's only active for this experience.